Hey everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the CFS model today. If you've been watching my videos on a regular basis over the last few weeks, you'll know that I've been increasingly looking at the CFS models for the coming winter, and particularly focusing on January, where very often the CFS pressure anomaly has been indicating some very blocked conditions over the Arctic, over Greenland and over the North Pole. Consequently, it's been going for very southerly tracking sort of low pressure systems going through the Atlantic in towards Central Europe, and it's been having us in very cold situations, and particularly the central parts of Europe, Northern Europe, it really has been going for some extreme sort of cold temperature anomalies in the month of January. But it's also been sort of hinted at a cold winter overall, because very often December and February also have been coming out quite cold as well. Now, it's a bit early really to be looking at these charts in too much detail, but I have had a few people asking me, well, how reliable is the CFS model? Can the CFS model pick up on the trends for the coming seasons this far away? So in August, can it pick up on the trend for the coming winter, that kind of thing? And I've been a bit perplexed really what to say, because it's not something I've really looked into that much in depth. But today we're going to do it. We're going to have a look at a couple of past winters and see how the CFS model did in August and September in terms of predicting the setup for those winters. So it sounds a bit complicated, but it'll all become clearer as we go on. We can only use 2 winters for this though, because we're talking about CFS version 2. Before that, CFS version 1 went right way back to around the year 2000, so we'd have had a lot of winters, a lot of years to go at if we got the CFS version 1 model, but it was discontinued last June, I think, and you can't see the charts from that now, I don't think. So it's just CFS version 2, and version 2 has only been in operation since 2011. So we're only going to have a winter of 2011, 2012 and 2012, 2013 to go at. So in any case, there's that caveat that we've only got 2 winters in the sample. So yes, we have got that caveat, of course, but nevertheless, it'll be interesting to see what the CFS model was predicting for those 2 winters back around the late summer, early autumn of the preceding those winters. Now, before I go on with it all, just talk about the advertising. There's green keyword ads on our pages. If you roll your cursor over green keywords, they'll display ads. So if you click through the word, that's the key. You've got to click through the word. You'll go to the advertiser's website, and by doing that, you're supporting GazWorthies.com, and thanks very much for doing it. I know you've been doing it. It allows me to have a website. It pays for the website. It pays for me to sit here and talk to you via the website. The website is a means to an end, as is the advertising. And thanks very much for doing that. So let's start off with the 700 millibar height anomaly forecast for the winter of 2011-2012 from August 2011. This was actually generated by the CFS model in the period the 1st to the 10th of August 2011. Now, it's a little bit hard to see. This is based on the old CFS version 1 charts. So it's not that easy to make it out, but if I just highlight where the British Isles is with this, the British Isles is actually over here. So that's where we're talking about for the UK. We're just there on these charts. I say a little bit difficult to make out. As we go on to the next charts, they'll become much simpler. But these are based on the old 700 millibar height anomalies from the old CFS version 1 model. But the winter prediction in August 2011 for winter 2011-2012 was for quite a zonal sort of winter. It had below average heights at 700 millibars sitting up here. That's an area of low pressure. It was going for high pressure to be ridging through the Atlantic, through there, so around the central Atlantic. And if I just get rid of that and highlight again, you'll be able to see that the jet stream with this would have been forecast to be somewhere around there, coming through or to the north of the British Isles. As we go through to the forecast from the CFS model for January, February, March, we see that actually it's a very similar idea. In fact, it intensifies the zonal outlook. It intensifies the below average heights to the northwest, and we have the high pressure again sitting in the Atlantic. The low pressure, the jet stream I should say, is coming through something like that. So that was the prediction for August in terms of 700 millibar height anomalies. Of course, height anomalies extrapolate to below average pressure and above average pressure. So where we've got the blue curves, that's low pressure. Where we've got the yellow curves, that's high pressure. It was going for a zonal winter for the winter of 2011-2012, a westerly Atlantic-based winter. That was the forecast from the CFS version 2 model in August. What about as we go through to September? What was the prediction from the CFS version 2 model for the coming winter in September 2011? Well, it's very similar actually. We have the low pressure again sitting to the north of the country. We have the high pressure sitting in the Atlantic. The jet stream is running through something like that. Yeah, that is a westerly based winter that was being predicted by the CFS version 2 model in both August and in September of 2011. If we go through, have a look at the prediction in September 2011 for January, February, March. Again, no real change. We do get a little bit more blocking being predicted then up to the north. We do finally start to see some Arctic blocking, but really it's the low pressure in the Atlantic and the high pressure down around the Azores that's in control of this. We're bringing the westerlies through something like that. So have a look at the analysis of the winter of 2011-2012 to see actually how it worked out. This is from NOAA. This is from NOAA. This is the actual 700 millibar anomaly for that winter, stretching from the 1st of December 2011 to the 28th of February 2012. And look at this. We see it's not a bad prediction from the CFS version 2 model. We've got the low pressure up to the north around Iceland. We've got the high pressure in the Atlantic. The jet stream between those two masses is coming through as an anomaly somewhere over or to the north of the British Isles. What it doesn't pick up on, what the CFS model didn't pick up on, was this big trough that formed down in the southeast of Europe. And remember that 2012 was a brutal winter across much of the southeast of Europe, the Balkans, Greece. Very, very severe winter in those areas. I don't think the CFS version 2 model was particularly picking up on that aspect. It didn't pick up that we set up this trough to the east and the southeast, have a really brutal winter for the Balkans and for Greece. But for us, I think you have to say that's not a bad prediction. If we go back to the forecast, that was the forecast for January, February, March. And we can go back again to December, January, February. That was the forecast for December, January, February. And the actual anomaly that occurred was that. I don't think that's too bad a match, really. That was the forecast. That's what actually happened. I don't think you can say that's too bad a prediction from the CFS model for August, September for the coming winter. So I think it really had the pattern fairly well nailed down in terms of the general setup. Of course, it's very different. There are some differences. It's not a total match. You wouldn't expect that months and months out, but nevertheless, quite a similarity there between that. Now, if we go on to the next winter, which is 2012-2013, this is the 700 millibar height anomaly forecast for the winter of 2012-2013 in August 2012. And again, it's the same sort of idea. It's 700 millibar heights, yellow areas extrapolating to above average heights to high pressure, blue areas extrapolating to below average pressure. And look at this, the model was predicting that there would be quite a bit of blocking going on up to the northeast, across the north of Scandinavia. It has this trough of low pressure in the Atlantic, and what's happening with this is that the prediction is that the jet stream is coming down and troughing out in the Atlantic, something like that, and then it's rising up something like that up to the north. And again, if we go over here, there's the British Isles just there. We're within the trough, the cold trough, for December, January, February. The jet stream is going off something like that. So whilst the blocking isn't particularly well in place, and it doesn't yet have a blocking up over Greenland, it's sort of there, really. For August, for the prediction for 2012 to 2013, it sort of has it. It doesn't have it exactly nailed down. You wouldn't expect it to be exactly nailed down, but it's kind of got the idea of what's happening as we're going on into the winter. As December, January, February, of course, we know that as we went into the second half of the winter, we saw blocking increasing big time, because December was actually quite sort of zonal, particularly we went through a particularly zonal spell between the middle of December to early January. Then we started to see the block increasing more and more and more, and of course it culminated in that extremely blocked March. So what's the prediction for January, February, March? Well, very interesting. Look at this. It increases the blocking through January, February, March. It increases the blocking area of high pressure. It extends it further out from the north of Scandinavia towards, going towards Greenland there. Excuse me. So in August 2012, the model was seeing that we get quite a lot of blocking going on to the north and the northeast. And it did have the idea that the second half of the winter, as we go through January, February, March, it would be more blocked. The blocking would increase compared to that December, January, February period. So again, it was kind of getting it, kind of getting the idea. The jet stream again with this, we've lost the trough actually, but the trough is still there really. The jet stream is something like that, going through the Atlantic, something like that. So the trough weakens a little bit as we go into that second half of the winter period. And that's right as well. We know that we did lose the low pressure that we had in December, very wet period, second half of December 2012. We lost that as we went through into January and February quite a bit. Now if we go through to September 2012 and see the anomaly for September 2012, on the basis of this, we've kind of lost the blocking. It looks like we've lost the blocking, but actually where the trough is sitting, the jet stream is going something like that on this. So although we've lost the yellow colours, the blocking is still there really. It's got to be there to generate that trough around the mid-Atlantic. So it loses the blocking signal a little bit for December, January, February. In September 2012, nevertheless, the blocking is still there because of that trough of low pressure sitting in the mid-Atlantic. But what about the next period, January, February, March? Well, look at this. Again, it brings back the blocking. So again, it was seeing, but as we go through to that second half of the winter period, yes, the blocking will come back, and it's centred over Greenland there. We've got the trough of low pressure sitting around the British Isles. So again, the jet stream, all the time with the CFS model last August and September, the jet stream was being forecast to be to the south of the British Isles, really, with that trough of low pressure sitting around the country, the blocking extending away up to the north. So that's very interesting, that height anomaly for January, February, March, and December, January, February for September and August 2012. If we have a look at the actual analysis that occurred through that winter, the winter 2012-2013, look at this, we get well, we know what happened. We got the blocking developing up to the north around the Arctic regions. Yep, that's the blocking up there. We got the trough through British Isles and into central parts of Europe and out into the Atlantic there. It was cold winter, of course, and again, if I show where the jet stream was, the jet stream would have been going something like that around that trough of low pressure. Of course, we're sending the northern arm well up into the Arctic, something like that. So it's not an exact match again, but if we go back to the prediction, actually we'll go back to August, the prediction in August, and then we go through to what actually happened. It's not an exact match, but you can see again the CFS model was kind of getting the idea for December, January, February 2012, 2013. It was kind of hinting at it. It wasn't getting it completely right, but in terms of a broad picture, the southerly tracking jet stream, the blocking, it was all sort of going in that direction. And that's what you have to do with the CFS model, and with all seasonal models really. You can't take them too literally. A lot of people make the mistake with seasonal models of taking them very literally. You can't run them literally like we do, say, with the models that we use for the week-ahead forecast, or the 5-day forecast, 10-day forecast. You can't use seasonal models in that way. You have to kind of look at the bigger picture and see where the model is going, or where it could be going with what it's showing, because it's not going to show you an exact version, an exact snapshot of what's going to happen like a short range model. It's going to give you the general direction of traffic, if you like. And I don't think for those two winters, 2011, 2012 and 2012, 2013, I don't think it was too far out. I'm quite surprised, actually. I went through this. I was expecting to see that model didn't really have a clue in August and September what was going to happen for the following winters. I'm quite surprised that really it was getting close. It was hinting at what was happening. So let's just finally finish up with what the model is predicting. The CFS model is predicting this August for 2013-2014. And look at this, it's very interesting because we've got the yellow colours again sitting to the north of the country. We've got all the blocking again being predicted to be sitting around Greenland, around Iceland, going to the north of Scandinavia. So it's the same sort of idea really in terms of the blocking as we saw last winter. We've got the trough there in the Atlantic. This time the trough is further back towards America, interestingly. So it does mean that whilst last year northern eastern parts of the states had quite a mild winter, I think this year northern eastern parts of the states potentially get it much, much colder. And for the British Isles and for Central Europe, the jet stream is coming through the Atlantic around that trough. Again, it's to the south because of the blocking. It's to the south of the country, the jet stream. So again, we're on the cold side of the jet. And whilst the centre of the trough is perhaps more back towards the United States, I think really it could well be the case that the model is kind of hinting again that we're going to see a cold winter with quite a bit of blocking to the north, and this time, as I say, it brings the United States, the east of the states, in the firing line as well. This is the prediction, 700 millibar height anomaly prediction for January, February, March, and again we've got the blocking there. The blocking is being predicted this August for the coming winter. A lot of blocking around Greenland and going out to the north of Scandinavia as well. That's all blocking high pressure. Again, we see the trough over the east of the states. I think the east of the states really could be in the firing line with this this winter. Much, much more so than last winter. Much colder winter for the east of the states. And again, for the British Isles, the trough is there over the country, running to the south with jet stream. That's where the jet stream's going, something like that. We're on the cold side of the jet. Potentially, again, I think potentially it does imply that the latter part of winter perhaps has more blocking. Do we think there's more blocking? Sorry, I've got that wrong. Do we think there's more blocking in the earlier part of winter or the later part of winter? That's the December, January, February height anomaly. That's the January, February, March height anomaly. I think there's more blocking there. Although it's very close to cover, I think there's slightly more blocking there for January, February, March than there is for December, January, February. But nevertheless, both periods, both tri-monthly periods, are kind of hinting at the same thing. Blocking in the Arctic, low pressure as a trough in the Atlantic. Jet stream, we're on the cool side of the jet stream. That's hinting at a cold winter, and it's no surprise because we've been keeping an eye on the monthly anomalies at Meteo. We've been keeping an eye on them, and it's no surprise what's going on here, that we're seeing these charts encompassing this idea that we're going to have a cold winter. Now, we've only got 2 winters to go on. I think both the 2 winters that we have to go on in terms of the prediction in August and again in September were pretty good. I think both predictions were reasonable, not exact matches, but reasonable sort of. It has the idea of the general direction of traffic, zonal westerly winter for 11-12, much more block winter for 12-13. It has that kind of idea, not an exact match. But we've only got 2 to go at, because our CFS version 2 has only been running since 2011. Before that we was using version 1. So, do we think that this is all just whistling in the dark, or do we think that yes, the last 2 winter predictions in August were quite reasonable, so it's safe to assume that it's got the idea right, perhaps not exactly perfect, but it's got the general idea right for 13-14. I'll leave you to decide. I can't answer it because it's not my place to answer it. It's up to you to decide what you think about this. But it's certainly very interesting. It's very, very interesting indeed. And it does appear that the CFS bottle from August can, and has in the last couple of winters, have the kind of right idea for the coming winter. And again, it's going for a cold winter there for this coming winter as well. So very, very interesting, lots of food for thought. I'll let you ponder on it all. That's the end of the video. We'll be doing the final and official GavsWeatherVids.com autumn forecast next week, so come back for that next Sunday. After that we go into September, and it'll be very much on a downward spiral into winter. All of the winter forecasts will begin in September. All of the fun. We'll start looking at the sea ice, we'll start looking at Siberian snow cover, we'll start looking at Atlantic SSTs, and yes, of course, we'll be looking at the seasonal models as well. So it's all going to start happening at Gavs Weather Vids for winter 2012-2013 in September. But next week, it's the autumn forecast. Come back for that. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.